Welcome to Talkin VAWLS, episode number 87, our weekly BasketVAWLS edition. We're brought to you by the Outright Geekery Podcast Network at outrightgeekery.com. Also, we're currently live on YouTube, courtesy of the S&B Network. Again, that's the S&B Network. If you would, please go ahead and smash that like button, share out this link. My name's Vols JP.
I'm Dobber. What's happening?
What's going on? I'm showing 3 people in the live chat. Maybe there's more than that. It just maybe hasn't refreshed. Look like we got Boogie Bentley. He's wearing out those. Yes, Boogie, we know we were 62 seconds late. Like you've never been late before. Never, ever. But Boogie's got the emojis going. I see the Go Big Orange, Power T. We got UT Tanner just showed up. What's up, UT Tanner? Go Vols. I think we saw B. Adams in there earlier. And then there was somebody in here earlier, too.
Cody Branch.
Way early. Cody Branch. He said, Go Big Orange, we killed the pigs. Yes, we did. So, Dobber, we played Kentucky Saturday. Hard fought game. I definitely thought that Tennessee competed. Just didn't shoot the ball. I mean, it's just the thing that's been killing this team over and over and over. We just can't get the shots. And I mean, there were some open shots and they just wouldn't fall. They just wouldn't fall.
I have come to the conclusion this is a Jekyll and Hyde team. But I think we talked about it last week. This team sort of plays to their opponent. You know, they come out and they play well against Kansas. They play well against Kentucky. They play well last night against an Arkansas team that is, by most accounts, going to be a tournament team. I think Lenardi has them in. A team that hadn't been beat by double digits all year, and they just ran them out of the gym. But yeah, like you said, I think let's see, I've got it written down here. They shot 35% against Kentucky. That's just horrible. Had a lot of balls in and out, and that's been something that I've noticed with this team multiple times this season. Balls that are all the way through and down and then come back out.
I know. It's maddening, isn't it?
It's just crazy.
Yeah. And a lot of missed bunnies right at the rim, too.
Yeah.
It seems like Bowden has at least 2 every single game. And it's kind of like he goes in and it's like he just puts it up too hard. And it just ends up just rimming out. But yeah, he has specifically him. He's had several threes that you think are going in, and then for whatever reason they just bounce right out. But yeah, I mean, I always hate to lose to Kentucky, obviously, but certainly felt like that Tennessee competed well, especially without James.
Yeah.
I mean, was this the 3rd straight game? I guess last night that he missed
4. I believe that was 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if it's a different story with him in there, because we're getting some good minutes out of some of the other guys, and I like to see that. Vescovi is coming along. You look at the 2 games this past week. Well, Kentucky and Arkansas. He had 18 and then 20. Led the team both nights. Had 8 assists last night. And another beauty, one of those driving through the lane and throws it behind him and around a guy, dumps it back down to I think it was Pons. But man, it was something else. And that's the thing last night that I noticed, and I don't know if it was so much Arkansas standing around, but they crashed the boards last night. There were so many second chance points, so many offensive rebounds. It was just a good old fashioned pig roast. we we laid it to them. Shot well, played hard, and like you said, against Kentucky, they cut it to. I think they got within 4 in the second half. Never could get any closer than that. Just every time that they scraped and got closer, Kentucky had an answer, and it's just one of those. We're sort of undersized, and we don't necessarily have the horses to compete with a team like that.
Yeah, and I thought I think it was a 4 or 5 point game right there, and Bowden had a pretty good look at a 3, and it was one of them that could have went in, but it bounced out, and from that point on, it was game over right then. I can't remember if it was a 5 point lead or a 4 point lead, but I know that if he'd have hit that 3, that
one possession,
been yes, yeah, and then I think Kentucky just went down, and I think that they might have hit a 3 right there, and just kind of then I kind of just turned it off because all they were doing was fouling and hitting their foul shots, and I'm not going to sit there and watch Calipari celebrate. I just won't do it.
Hey, well, yeah, but let's look at this. That's his first win in his last 5 trips to Knoxville.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, Barnes and the Vols have done a number on them, so we got to find a way to steal one up at Corrupt Arena coming up here in a few weeks. We got to find a way to steal that one back.
Yeah, that's shout out. Saw Davis joining us there in the chat.
Davis? What's
going on? But yeah, that's something we've got to do. Got 7 games left. Sitting at 14-10 right now overall, 6-5 in the conference. We've got to,
like Hillbilly Sportsman's asking, what's our chances of making the big show?
We'd have to win out, or maybe go 6-1 with what we've got left. Best chance.
Could you go 5-2 and maybe win? Win at least one in the tournament. I mean, because
get through to the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think 20 wins. I think that if you can find a way to get to 20 wins, I think especially this year in college basketball, where there seems to be so much parity and there's nobody that's just dominating, I think that could get you in.
Well, so, with the schedule that they've had.
Well, yeah, because
you look at that non-conference schedule, the teams that we've played well or even beat. We beat Washington on the road, played Memphis well, played Cincinnati well,
beat VCU in that Thanksgiving tournament, and just barely the games that they did lose as far as the Florida State game. I mean, that
Florida
was
State. That's another good one.
Yeah, I think that we lost that game about 3 points or something there early in the season. But looking at the remaining schedule, and like we talked about on here for weeks, I mean, Tennessee's schedule is definitely back end loaded because we got 7 games left, 2 against Auburn, 1 against Kentucky.
You throw Florida in there as well.
Yeah, Florida, which is up and down, but certainly a team that the Vols can beat. But just looking short term ahead on paper, if you look at the next 2 games, you got at South Carolina and then back to Thompson Bowling Arena against Vandy.
That's going to be tough to go to Columbia and
Saturday will be
up a
tough game. Yes, if I was going to bet on that game, I would have to bet the Gamecocks. I just feel like that if you look at their schedule and what they've been doing, since they really started conference play, they've been pretty daggone good. And Frank Martin, he's a heck of a coach. They always play tenacious defense. And I think that's going to be a huge challenge. If Tennessee could find a way to go into Columbia Saturday and steal one from the Gamecocks and then come back home and beat Vanderbilt the way that they should, that's going to put you at 16-10. So it's certainly possible with 5 games to go, and maybe you could build on some momentum there. But I think that as we've seen the entire year with this basketball team, and like you just said, I mean, they are heckle and jive. So who knows what's going to happen Saturday? I mean, they could. I mean, last night was only the second game all year long, and since the second game of the season that this team scored over 80 points. So I think in the conference play, the highest that they had scored was 73, and I think that was twice. So obviously that this basketball team has a challenge to consistently score. So I think that probably last night, unfortunately, was probably more of a anomaly. I don't think that you can expect that this team just all of a sudden just to turn it on and to start averaging 80 points a game.
I caught that too, UT Tanner.
What did he say?
You said heckle and jive.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It's been a long week,
and it's just Wednesday.
Yes, that is the
Wednesday.
problem. That is a problem.
Now I hear
a problem.
You. Yeah, it's going to be tough to go to Columbia. Any SEC road game is going to be tough. But you look at the matchup that we had in Knoxville against South Carolina. I think we picked up a 1-point win. It was like 66 to 65.
Yeah.
Was that one that you went to?
Yeah. That was the one. Yeah. And, Tennessee really, that was one of those games where it was just back and forth. Tennessee would get a lead, and then South Carolina kind of cut it close. But Tennessee was just struggling with turnovers. I mean, I think that was Vescovi's second game.
So yeah. And that's looking at that. I've kind of been tracking that really throughout the season. The last two, we had 8 and 11. So that's we've significantly cut down on turnovers compared to that stretch from the sort of beginning to the middle of the season where we were probably averaging 16 to 20. I mean, we were, and the thing about it, the other teams were capitalizing and scoring points off those turnovers.
Yeah. I tell you though, the 2 games to me that really resonate with Tennessee, and to me, if they would have stood a lot better chance currently right now of making the NCAA tournament, is if we wouldn't have just went into Athens there a few weeks back and didn't even show up and just got absolutely just blown out of the court. Didn't even give us a chance to even compete. Pretty much 10 minutes into the basketball game, and then losing to a really bad Texas A&M team at home here as well. I think that those 2 losses could be huge. Unfortunately, could come back and end up biting this team as far as making the dance for sure with that. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, because like we said, this team is heckle and jive. So
well,
who knows? Maybe they'll go on a win streak here.
Hey, get hot at the right time. You hit it right. For the way the schedule plays out, knowing what they pretty much have to do, these next 2 games coming up Saturday and then it's Tuesday, right?
Must win.
Must win, because that sets the table for closing out the season, and 2 against Auburn and one more going to Lexington.
Yeah. If Tennessee could find a way to win these next 2, like I said, that would put them at 16 and 10, and then they have to go to Auburn. So you might as well say you could say loss 16 and 11, but that turns right back around and they have to go play at Arkansas, which I understand they're playing at Arkansas, but you feel like obviously that Tennessee had a great game plan last night. If they could, do that again, I'm not saying that they're going to win by 20 plus points, but if they could win that, then that puts them at 17 wins, and you got 4 games left, or excuse me, you'd have three games left: Florida, Kentucky, Auburn in the regular season. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, there's just no way around it. But if this team could maybe find a way to finish the regular season, 18 wins, and then maybe find a way to win 2 of them in the tournament, I think that's the path probably that this basketball team is looking as far as making the dance.
Yeah. Honestly, our best chance is probably going to win the conference tournament.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly with that, but I think that if we could get somehow to 20 wins, even if it takes a game or 2 in the actual conference tournament, I think that Tennessee could get in. Now, they might be in a play-in game, but, at least you're in.
Man, I'm looking at the SEC standings right now.
Yeah.
Do you realize Georgia's just 2-8 in the conference?
Oh, I know. I mean, that's what I said. I mean, they acted like when I watched them that game that night, I thought, how in the world is this basketball team lost already 8 games or whatever that their record was at that time? I mean, they couldn't miss that night. And of course, Tennessee didn't even give any kind of resistance at all. I mean, it was absolutely their worst performance of the year, in my opinion. They didn't even show up to play, and Edwards just dominated them. I mean, he was hitting everything, and then all those other freshmen were hitting everything. So, I don't know. It was just one of those games, obviously, that at this point in time, that I'm sure that Tennessee would like to have back, and would like to have an opportunity with a do-over there, and same way with Texas A&M game.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just we've talked about it multiple times. Even though we've got Uros eligible and playing some minutes, he's still showing he's a freshman. We lack size, and that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me in most of these losses. We're getting out rebounded, and we're getting.
We're just not physical. We just don't have the big wide bodies there.
It's the either points in paint that we're not getting, or the points in the paint that we're giving up. He seems, and I caught. I think it was after the Kentucky game. Barnes was talking about him being too much of a finesse player. He said he caught one just outside the paint and kind of backed in, and then went up and had his shot blocked. We're talking about a 7-footer who was trying like a baby jump hook, and had a guy who was probably 6 inches shorter than him just block it. And Barnes was saying, he's got to learn to finish and to close out those plays around the rim with strength.
I don't know how many how many minutes did Posevich get last night? I saw him in there at the very end.
I don't recall him playing a whole heck of a lot. Yeah. You had some other guys that have kind of been cut, come and go in there. Gaines played quite a bit last night.
Yeah, and where he brings it is on the defensive end. Yeah. I mean, that's where he brings it. And actually, I mean, I know I've been pretty hard on the kid, but that VAWLS actually played better here the last few games as well. So, maybe this team can start gelling. Maybe some of these freshmen are starting to come on. Maybe
that's what I was going to say right there, though. All 3 of those guys that we just talked about, freshmen.
Well, yeah. I mean, they are.
I mean, but granted, you know,
maybe they lack the testosterone, like Bobby Taco says.
You're in the stretch run of the season right here, getting ready to close it out, even as a freshman. And I mean, these kids have played basketball their whole life. I mean, they're good enough to be on scholarship at a D1 school. It's not like they don't know how to play.
Yeah.
I think it's just a case of, you know, we're kind of undersized and not quite as athletic as what the other teams are lining up on the floor.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what this stretch run does. I mean, this basketball team could. I mean, I said it earlier that I thought that it might be a struggle to even finish 500. I think that Tennessee will do that now, but it's going to take more than that to make the tournament. So.
Oh yeah, I mean they've got to go on a run here and probably win some games that there aren't many people giving them a shot to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Bobby Taco says Pons is an animal. Hillbilly Sportsman says it's all mental and just frustrating. But, you know, that's what happens a lot of times when you have a bunch of newcomers that you're counting upon. So with that. And then UT Tanner's wanting to know if that's a vintage hat, Dobber.
It is not. It's a Volunteer Traditions. See, it's the mesh back. I mean, it's the throwback interlocking UT logo, but
it's a nice looking hat.
Thank you.
Nice looking hat. You got all kinds of hats,
dude. Yeah,
I used to wear hats all the time growing up, but the only time anymore that I even wear hats is either on here, which I don't have one on tonight because I forgot to bring it up, and I was too lazy to walk back downstairs and get one. But then usually at ball games, my hair gets all funky up, and if I have a hat on, I take it off. My hair's all back of my head's all over the back of my head. My hair is, and it just, I don't know, it just makes me mad. But growing up, I wore them all the time.
Well, see, that's unless we've got customers coming in the lab, I generally wear a hat to work every day.
Do
you? So that's just kind of me. Growing up playing baseball, that's, you know, I'm just throw a hat on.
Yeah. Well, what else you want to talk about, Dobber?
I don't know. You had Bobby Taco bringing up Pons there. I want to talk about Fulkerson. How about the improvement that he has made? Because last year, you know, I've said all along, he's got a motor that won't quit. He hustles. If he's in the game, he's going all out. I mean, he doesn't have a low gear. He's just full tilt all the time. But I was kind of overly critical of him being awkward and not quite as athletic and a little bit vocal that he shouldn't be getting the minutes that he was getting. But the transformation that he's had and the offensive progression that he's made from last year to this, from even the beginning of the season to right now, I'm really impressed with how he's come along. And on top of that, you know, like I said, with that motor, with his intensity and you know he's aggressive, and that's one thing that some of these other guys they don't seem to have that edge. You know, it's kind of like they're just out there sometimes. But Fulke, I mean, he's oh man.
Fulke is almost like a Gumby. I mean, it's like he just, you know, it's just like he's just stretching all over the place, and I mean, nobody can ever question his heart, desire, the effort that he puts forth out there, and you're right. I mean, some of those low post moves that he's pulled this year, some of his spin moves and stuff. I mean, it's been very, very impressive, and he's done a heck of a job working on his little jump shot there from about 10 foot. Him and Pons both. I mean, Pons just a total athletic freak. And Bobby Taco saying that he saw where Eric Ainge mentions that Pons might enter the draft. I mean, I guess it's possible. I guess it certainly is. I'm not for sure that Pons has the consistent shooting that he could withstand the NBA.
Here's my thoughts on that. Look at Jordan Bone.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
he left early after having a great year, but he's I guess bouncing back and forth
between the D League and the
I don't think Pons has shown the consistency. I mean, he is as athletic as anybody.
Probably any basketball player that I can remember at Tennessee.
Yeah,
I mean, I might be wrong on that, but
he can jump out the building, and I mean, the fact that he has not played organized basketball for more than
5 years,
it is mind blowing, and the growth he's shown between last year and this year, and that was the other thing I want to get to on Fulkerson. Last year when Fulkerson got the ball, he wasn't going to shoot. He was looking for a pass or he would walk. This year, I mean, you get him around the paint, that 10 maybe. I don't want to say 15 foot. I don't think he's got a 15-foot shot, but 10 foot in, he's been putting some moves on, and man, it's that is what impresses me about Barnes. That is why when people want to complain about this big contract and extension that he signed, and Troy Lee hit it just up. Well, no, I think you've actually got it on the screen.
Yeah, on the screen.
On the screen. I was looking for it on the side there, but it's on the screen. Barnes is doing an outstanding job with what we lost, with the fact that you lose Turner, one of your senior leaders, 8 games into the season. The fact that you've got 2 guys, midseason enrollee, and then Plasevich is later than a midseason enrollee. But the fact that we're playing so many freshmen, and we are playing really undersized, and we've completely changed our philosophy, going from a flex inside out sort of the team last year was built to pound the ball in and draw fouls and go to the line, and you had 2 absolute beasts in Schofield and Williams that could just take over a game. And even though they were undersized, that they were able to rebound and shoot over, and just you're going to see those guys have success in the NBA for years, and to replace us, we've talked about it, and I think it's not necessarily the talent or the scoring that has affected this year's team more of what we lost, as in terms of leadership on the court. I think this team just doesn't have that go-to guy. Thought it was going to be Turner, Bowden. It was their team. Turner goes down, and Bowden has just he's struggled. He's not found his shot. I don't know if it's pressure of trying to be the guy. And then you'd really hope that Josiah James was going to step up and assume kind of that role. But I think he's maybe struggled a little bit with the transition into college ball. But apparently this groin injury he's had since preseason. So, that could influence the way he's played, the way that he's not been as aggressive or attacked as much, because to me, he just doesn't seem as highly touted as he was given coming in. But you look at like UT Tanner's saying right there, talking about Santiago Vescovi.
He could end up being an absolute wizard passing the ball.
Oh my goodness. He's still got some things to I guess adjust to, going from European League rules to college basketball. But what I like is
too.
Yeah, what I like is you do see him talking with the referees, communicating with them, learning. I mean, it's obvious. He's asking them, and they're and that's been even old TV Ted Valentine was talking with him there one game that they had. Put his arm on his shoulder and was saying, but and that's a hillbilly sportsman. It is raw talent, and that's where Barnes is earning his money though, getting this team to compete at the level they are. I mean, we are on the outside looking in right now in terms of the NCAA tournament, but if you look at the SEC standings, we are
middle of the pack.
Yeah. We're sixth.
Yeah, I mean we're right there at it.
So
with that. So
I mean that's good.
Problem is that there's probably only going to be about 4, maybe 5
that's the thing.
Teams from the SEC that make the tournament. So
it's just it's a weird year in college basketball. And we've talked about this too. I mean, you look at Carolina, they're probably not going to make the tournament or the NIT. They lost again last night to Wake Forest. But it's just weird. There's so much parity. There are a couple of teams that have a couple of special players, but really almost any given night, it's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
That's the number one spot has flipped around so many times this year. It's like almost like teams don't want to hold it.
Well, what was it last week? Didn't Auburn go into Vanderbilt and Vandy beat them, or was that LSU? Maybe it was LSU that Vandy beat.
Vanderbilt did pick up their first SEC win in 2 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I think that was against LSU. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'll have to look at their schedule and see.
Yes, they beat LSU 99-90.
Yeah. So, and they actually played Mississippi State and actually Kentucky last night. They were within single digits there in the second half against them. So they're starting to play. Seems like at least a little bit better. But anyway, the Vols have an opportunity. We'll see what happens. I think that we'll have a better feel of it, whether or not that there's no way that this basketball team has a chance to make the tournament, or if they're still hanging on like a hair on a biscuit this time next week when we're back here on Talkin VAWLS Basketball Edition. Dobber, you got anything else tonight you want to say?
I'll throw out the little advertisement that Boogie keeps throwing out there. We got the emojis. You can join. I think it's what he's saying. It's 99 cents now.
I'll put it back up there. You can join
99
the
cents
channel.
now.
Yep, 99 cents a month, and you gain access to all those wonderful emojis that Boogie Bentley has been on here. He won't come on and show his face because he says he don't watch basketball much, but he at least shows up and interacts with us, so we appreciate that. Boogie Bentley, the man that runs the show from the S&B network. I saw where Boogie's got another show on the S&B network, the Boogie Show or something.
I saw something go across the other because I like and subscribe, so
Yeah.
I get my updates. Make sure you're doing that.
You want us to talk about staff changes, Tanner? I'll give my quick. We were going to make it a short night tonight. Dobber's got him and I both have got things this evening, but we'll hit on the football staff changes right quick. My whole thoughts on that is it's all about recruiting. I think that Scherer obviously left for the NFL. So did Rump. That right there tells you that they are tired of the hustle and bustle that it takes to recruit. And then you got Tracy Rocker. I think that was just I think Tracy Rocker is pretty much ready to almost retire, but he's not really ready to do that. So, but I've heard some people say, "Oh, there's rumblings going around. Pruitt's not, keeping his staff together and all that jazz and everything." But I think that's the way that college football is. I mean, these guys are like nomads. I mean, none of them stay. Typically, I mean, Clemson's about the only one, it seems like, anymore that they consistently keep that continuity. But I think the years of having a staff that stays together for 5, 6, 7 years, I don't think that you'll see that in college athletics anymore. And I think that all of these moves, obviously, Rump's contract ran out, so did Rocker's run out. I doubt that Pruitt really made much of an effort to try to re-sign these guys. I think that it's very telling that within basically 24 hours of both of them leaving, that he's already found their replacement. So that tells me right there that Pruitt was already working. He already kind of knew what was coming, and he had his guys ready to go for the replacements. Will they be as good as coaches as far as on the field coaches? Probably not. I mean, at least not at this point in time. But I think Pruitt's banking on the fact that they're probably hungrier as far as it goes as recruiting, and he feels like once he gets the players in here that they can coach them up. That's my quick take on it.
I love it. I think I think Pruitt looks at it as an opportunity to improve. And like you said, I think it is more related to recruiting. You look at the guys we missed out on the defensive line that we had targeted, especially the in-state guys. I think that was a pretty real bitter taste for this team, for Pruitt, and then I don't even know if you want to get into the whole deal with Hardy. I mean, I don't know who that falls on. If it falls on Rocker being his primary,
I mean, he came out and said, now whether or not that you can believe anything that Hardy said, because obviously he's not the most trustworthy person as far as what he said. But I mean, he came out and said that he just didn't really build a relationship with the defensive line coach. So
exactly. So I don't know, but I think Pruitt was not happy with that. You and I had talked about it during the season, that there was a little bit of legs to Pruitt was not feeling the effort that Rocker was bringing on the recruiting front. But we'll see. This team is exciting. The man, what we've got returning, I think it's. You're talking about a couple of position coaches, really, with the moves internally that we've made. Osevich, moving him to an on the field position. I think that's a good move. He's got former head coach experience, very successful in the JUCO ranks. They actually call him RPO Joe. So I think he's very, very knowledgeable, and he'll be an asset to this game, and hopefully upgrade the play at tight end. Even though Niedermeyer, I think he did a heck of a job. I think he is a stud recruiting, though. I think that's why Pruitt can just say he can coach whatever side of the ball, wherever. We'll find a spot for him. But I think that's because he is, he's just a relentless recruiter. So I think that's.
And I think that's what he's wanting with these two new guys.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what he's wanting. I mean, we've talked about it. Recruiting is what makes your program. I mean, that's what it makes it. I mean, we can sit around and talk about it, but the proof's in the pudding. I mean, if you don't finish in the top 10 consistently in recruiting, yes, I mean, you can have some decent seasons, especially if you play in a jump conference like the ACC or something like that. But you're not going to compete in the SEC when there's 7 or 8 teams in the SEC that's finished in the top 10 in recruiting, and you're finishing 15th to 20th or worse. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
So, but I think it's all about the recruiting. I firmly believe that's why that he hired the guys that he did, and I do not think that he really tried very, very, very hard to probably re-sign Rump and Rocker, and probably Scherer either. Probably so. So we'll see. I mean, that's all that we can see if it ends up working out or not. So on that, but
last thing, make sure you guys are subscribed so you can get the notifications. I think JP hit on it last week. Leading up into football season, we will be doing some position previews and kind of going over what we've lost, what we have, what we're looking for from that particular position group. But we'll probably get through a couple months here, and we may
do some stuff before spring.
Yeah, we may do something orange and white game, kind of leading into that. So just
I just hate that Morris and Crouch are both gonna miss the spring because of injuries and surgeries and stuff. Really hate that for Wanya. Morris for sure. I felt like that. Probably more so him just needing him to kind of redefine his body and get stronger on the upper portion of his body. I mean, he's got such a wide base from the hips down, but was really hoping that he could get in the weight room this winter and build some mass up top. But of course, I would rather for him to be out now than be out come August or September or whatever. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this football team can stay healthy and they can get ready for the stretch run there starting in August for sure. So.
Yep.
And UT Tanner said, thanks, guys. And Hillbilly Sportsman said, thanks, guys. Go Big Orange. We certainly appreciate every one of you all. We appreciate y'all tuning in with us every single Wednesday night. We enjoy sitting around talking about UT athletics, whether it's basketball, football, heck, we'll even talk about their rowing team if you want to. I don't know anything about it, but if somebody wants to talk about it, we can. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for tonight. We appreciate everybody listening. Be back here next Wednesday night. We'll see if our Tennessee Volunteers can pull off a road win in Columbia, South Carolina against the South Carolina Gamecocks on Saturday, and then back in Neyland, or excuse me, not Neyland, Thompson Bowling Arena next Tuesday night against the Vanderbilt Commodores. For UT Dobber, I'm Vols JP. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.